Salutations! Welcome to Melinden TV. Today's video is 6 weeks in the making. I can't even tell you when or how the idea came about, but all I know is I was looking at one of those helpful tips on a training plan one day, and I was like, I wonder if I'm getting enough protein. And as an athlete, that's pretty important. Protein is actually really important for everyone, athlete or not. It's one of the 3 major components of all of our food intake, and it's called macros, which is something you might have heard of before. And that's the macros. People who count their macros are like people who count their intake of carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. And each one has their own specific purposes and the reasons why your body needs them in certain quantities. But protein, the purpose of protein is to help build and repair your muscles, your organs, skin, blood, chemicals, hormones. So protein is very important, but that whole idea of rebuilding muscle and all of that is why protein is especially important for athletes, because building muscle is literally what makes us stronger. And I was like, maybe I'd be a better athlete if I actually counted how much protein I'm taking in and seeing if I'm getting enough. And I wasn't. A lot of people, I feel, aren't getting enough protein because the jury is still out as far as how much protein we should each be getting. But the best information that I was able to find is that for an active person, someone who works out regularly, you should be getting, I messed that up. You should be getting 1 gram of protein daily for each pound of body weight. So if you weigh 150 pounds, then you should be getting 150 grams of protein each day. If you weigh 90 pounds, you should be getting 90 grams of protein each day. So that's for an active person. For a sedentary person or someone who doesn't work out, the best info that I found online was 0.6. So if you weigh 100 pounds, then you should be getting 60 grams of protein a day. And if you weigh 200 pounds, you should be getting 120 grams of protein a day. So that's for a sedentary person, though, someone who doesn't exercise at all, which I hope is none of you. If you haven't learned anything from my channel yet, you should be exercising, and you should be getting 1 gram of protein for each pound that you weigh. So I decided to do that. But first, for kind of a control, I had 3 weeks of me just tracking my food, not really trying to get more protein, just eating the way I was eating and tracking my phone and seeing if I was reaching my protein minimum for the day. And then that was followed by 3 weeks of me making sure that I was getting my minimum amount of protein for the day and seeing if it really even made a difference. So enjoy some moments from those 6 weeks. So this is my post-workout protein shake. It's a scoop of white candy cane flavored protein powder, a cup of almond milk, a banana, and ice, which puts me at 20 grams of protein for the day. So yesterday I consumed only about 80 grams of protein, and that was made up of the protein shake. I also had some shrimp for lunch and like a dinner-ish snack. I had a veggie pizza when I got home from work. That was like 9 grams of protein. I had oats for breakfast. That was 5 grams. Peas for lunch. That was 5 grams. So there are protein ingredients, but still only 80 grams of protein. Today's post-workout protein shake is a scoop of white candy cane protein powder, a tablespoon of unsweetened cocoa powder, a cup and a half of almond milk, and half a banana, and that's about 20 grams of protein. For dinner tonight, I have homemade veggie pizza. The crust came pre-made, and there's a sauce packet, and then we added our own fresh tomato slices, fresh zucchini, and fresh mozzarella. Looks delicious. Good alternative. Like a slice of pepperoni pizza has over 300 calories and about anywhere between like 10 and 15 grams of fat, maybe 15 grams of protein. And this pizza has half the calories, half the fat, but only about 9 grams of protein. So it's a much healthier option, but I'm getting less protein out of it as well. So since I haven't been getting enough protein in my diet, for the next 3 weeks, I have to make some small changes to make sure that I'm getting at least 1 gram per pound of body weight, which I just weighed myself this morning, so I know exactly how many grams of protein I need to consume every day until my next weigh-in. This morning I made a protein shake, and it was, I used 1 scoop of protein powder and then other ingredients that didn't really have protein in them. And it wasn't enough because 1 scoop of protein powder is 18 grams, which is enough for a protein shake. But in order for me, my minimum for the day, I needed at least 30 grams of protein in this particular shake. So I put another scoop. I'm at 36.6 grams for the day so far. So we're on our way to Pittsburgh, and I didn't have as much to eat as I had hoped before we got on the road. So we just had to stop at a rest stop at like 11 something p.m. just so I could get a bag of beef jerky, and I just ate a whole bag of beef jerky just so I could meet my protein minimum for today, and I wasn't even hungry. You can turn it off now.
Right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did not have as much protein today as I had hoped, so it's almost 10 o'clock and I'm about to have 4 servings of meatballs because I need 56 grams of protein today. I just ate 14 meatballs. I'm supposed to eat 2 more, but I don't want any more. Almost a week into eating the proper amount of protein, and I've gained 4 pounds in a week. So that's not good because I'm in training for races that I don't want to be heavier for, but this also means I need to add 4 grams of protein, 4 more grams of protein to my daily intake. The weight gain could be from those 16 meatballs I ate last night right before bed, or it could be from the full box of Girl Scout cookies that I ate the other day at work. Yesterday, I ran the Spartan Beast at Killington, Vermont, which is basically just a 15-mile obstacle course race up and down a mountain, and then up and down and up and down and up and down. I did it last year, and I remember being sore for a few days after, and this year I feel like the course was harder, but I'm not as sore. And I don't know if that's because I'm developing as an athlete or because I'm finally getting the amount of protein that my body needs. Down 2.5 pounds this week. Woo! Miracle protein shake for when I'm 30 grams down for the day. There have been very few days in the past 3 weeks that I did not meet my protein minimum. And
for like the, I don't know, 3 days that I didn't, I was only off by less than 10 grams of protein, except for yesterday. Yesterday I just ran out of time and I was in a protein deficit of like over 30 grams. Today I was just so tired. And I mean, I'm always tired. I never get any sleep, but today I was so tired that I was literally falling asleep at work and had to go out to my car and take a nap so that I'd be able to function through the rest of the workday. And I don't know if that's at all related to me not getting enough protein the previous day or something that I'm just making up in my mind.
Conclusions. Some things happened over those 3 weeks that I was actually getting enough protein, and I don't know if I can attribute it to me getting more protein or attribute it to other things. For example, I had that really, really strenuous mountain race that I recovered so much faster from this year than last year. Is it because I'm finally getting enough protein in my body, or is it because I'm advancing as an athlete, or is it both? Another thing is the one day that I was severely lacking, like in a serious, serious protein deficit, I was so tired the next day that I was really just even falling asleep at work. I wouldn't say that eating enough protein every day gave me more energy, but did I sense it when it was lacking? Or is that just a coincidence that I was so tired on that one day? And then men who are fragile, cover your ears for this next part. I got my period and my cramps weren't as bad as they usually are. Is that because I'm taking in more protein or not? I don't know. Jury's out. But these things might be because I was taking in more protein. And of course, this wasn't an empirical, actual scientific experiment. It was just, a little Mel experiment. And I think it's worth it. I think it's worth it to put the right amount of protein in your body. Let's go over the data, though, about what has been happening the past 6 weeks. So for the first 3 weeks when I was just eating whatever and tracking my food, I did not reach the proper amount of protein, not a single day in 3 weeks. I didn't even get close. The closest I got was still like 30 grams less than what I should have been getting. That is terrible for an athlete to be in such a protein deficit. And I think I've been selling myself short all of this time. I could have been so much stronger and faster by now, maybe. So on average, I was getting 57% of the protein that I was supposed to be getting, as opposed to when I did the right amount of protein for 3 weeks. I got an average of 104% of the proper amount of protein. And I only missed my goal on 1, 2, 3 days. I only missed my goal on 3 days, and 2 of those days I missed it by like less than 10 grams of protein. Like, I really did try to get the proper amount of protein every day. As far as challenges in getting this much protein in my diet, I found that it was really difficult to increase my protein intake without going overboard on my calories and my carbohydrates and my fats. It's like apparently very difficult to find lean protein sources that are just so much protein and not a lot of calories, not a lot of carbs, not a lot of fats. For example, the app that I was using to track all of my food for the past 6 weeks also tracks your exercise, and it'll tell you how many calories, carbs, and fats you can have for the day based on how many calories you've burned. So usually on an active day, since I do go to the gym most days, I should be able to eat anywhere between 2,500 and 3,000 calories in a day. But my average during the 3 weeks that I was just my control period, my average amount of calories eaten was 2,163, which is malnourished. It means that I wasn't putting enough calories in my body to fuel myself for the amount of physical activity. And there were only 5 days that I went over. And when I say went over, that means that I consumed more calories than I burned. But during the 3 weeks of protein, I averaged 2,762 calories. That's 600 calories more just by adding the proper amount of protein to my diet. But the problem is that there were 11 days that I went over. So that means that 11 days I ate more calories than I burned. Similar trends with fat intake. I averaged 70 grams of fat during the control period, 70 grams of fat per day. And according to my app, I went over for 2 days. But during my protein weeks, I averaged 109 grams of fat per day. And I went over 12 days. The only difference was in carbohydrates, surprisingly. So I guess that if I'm just left to my own devices to eat freely and not really caring, I eat more carbs than anything else, because my carb intake during the control period was an average of 283 grams per day, and I went over 13 days. But that number was lower during the protein period, 268 grams per day, but I still went over 10 days. The moral of the story is, if you're really trying to put protein in your diet, you have to look for lean sources, because it's really hard to find proteins that don't have a bunch of carbs and fats attached, because every kind of meat that we order is breaded and topped with stuff, and it just makes it really, really difficult to get the amount of fuel that your body needs to rebuild its muscles without packing on unnecessary fat. As far as changes in my body, my weight was pretty consistent during the 3-week control period, and my weight during the protein period was like this. But it was like oscillating between the same two numbers. The bad news is the higher number is actually the most I've ever weighed in my life. So the highest number I've ever seen on a scale was the last day of the protein challenge. Now, again, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. So they say muscle weighs more than fat. If you're converting the fat in your body to muscle, then you'll look more toned, but you'll weigh more according to the scale. My measurements, my body measurements, didn't really change much during this challenge. My waist size did increase by an inch, but that was pretty much the only measurement that changed. and I actually felt like I could see more definition in my abs during the protein part of the challenge than the control part of the challenge. So, I don't know. Was I getting enough protein? Absolutely not. Does getting enough protein affect you? Not absolutely, but I'd say yes. Is it worth it to get enough protein in your diet? If you're sedentary, yes. If you're an athlete, definitely yes. And it's something that I know that I'm going to make an effort to do moving forward. Thanks for watching today's video. I hope you learned something. I sure did. There's subtle ways that you can change your diet to get more protein. Just, being mindful when you go out to eat, thinking about what your body needs, putting an extra scoop of protein in your protein shake, adding protein shakes to your diet, not only solid meals, but liquid meals that won't add a bunch of carbs and fat and calories to your diet, but will add the protein that you need. Adding more vegetables, even though vegetables aren't a ton of protein, they are a protein source. There are things that you can do to your diet to add more protein, and I would absolutely say that it is worth making those subtle changes. Please subscribe to my channel. I make new videos on the first Wednesday of every month, and I've got a lot of really exciting topics and tests and challenges coming up, so I might be posting more often just so I don't fall behind on all of my ideas. But we've got a lot of fun things coming up, and I hope you're on the ride with me.